All right. Um, so far nobody's here. If somebody pops on to the show, that's great. It'll help with the dialogue. But I wanted to still do this just to give you some ideas of the conversation of what do we eat and and how that fits into our life. Look at the clock and say, oh, I should eat because I don't know if I'm going to eat. I can't remember when I ate. And we kind of let that rule some of the choices we make. But if we're more conscious about the choices we make, it it can ease some of the stress. It is more empowering to what we. Okay, well, I'm not sure if that other piece got recorded or not, so I'll just repeat it just in case. The choices we make about the food that we eat and how we eat it and when we eat it, we often let our emotions choose that. So we might wake up in the morning and just automatically think, oh, I need to have XYZ because I always had it growing up. I don't know when I'll eat again, um, that type of thing. And so that running our life by that clock um, isn't always in our best interest. It's how do we feel about it? To help with that, it's really important to look at your schedule, look at your calendar. How much time do I have? What meetings do I have? What calls do I have? What appointments do I have? How long does it take to make the things that I want to make, that I think I might want, or that I've heard are healthy for me? And then planning that out. When do I eat it? You know, you've heard me talk about the circadian rhythm. There's a natural time that our environment, that the sun and everything sets for us as to when's the best time to eat. But it really boils down to you and how you feel about it. And so you've heard me talk about this before, probably. I'm a big advocate for planning. And so, you know, once a week, once every other week, however it works for you, look at your schedule. One, it might show you, man, I schedule way too much and it's not allowing me to make the best choices for my food. And so, you know, there's things there that can come up, but it's like, okay, I'm really busy this day. So I'm going to make sure I have foods that I can take with me or that are just ready when I get home, or however you want to do it. And then maybe what you need to do is have one day where you do something like you chop your vegetables and you put them in freezer baggies or however containers that you keep ready. So if you want to put a salad together, boom, it's all together. If you make your own salad dressing, you can have that ready. There it is. And you feel confident that what's in that salad dressing is good for you and it's not from a bottle or a jar that might have other ingredients in there like sugars, corn syrup, oils that are not necessarily in your best interest, like canola, some soybean oils, things like that. And so that being in charge of your schedule is really important. And that's what's going to help you feed your health using your your kitchen and maybe your cutting knife as a tool. And so I gave you 3 recipes that I like. This morning I had the yogurt with the fruit and the nuts and seeds. Now, sometimes I make my own yogurt. Sometimes I like to order from like Vitacost or Thrive Market or something, so that I have. We live in what somebody called a desert food wasteland here, um, and so sometimes I can find things at my local store kind of fit the grade. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you do the best you can. And then nuts and seeds. If you soak your nuts and seeds ahead of time, put them in your dehydrator or at a very low temperature on your oven, then they're all soaked and sprouted and ready for you to use on something like just yogurt, fruit, and nuts and seeds. For lunch, I had made a bean dip, and you can also buy bean dips. Again, look at your schedule. What do I have time? I don't have time to make one, but I can get a fairly healthy one and put that on my gluten-free bread, my flax crackers, whatever, put some avocado, tomato, whatever your body can handle. And then maybe you've made some soup, and so you heat up some vegetable soup or something. And there you've got a really nice, easy lunch. And then what I'm going to show you today is a fairly quick and easy dinner, but it's got lots of good food nutrition. Again, this is what I am making, because it's not just me, but it's my 23, almost 24-year-old son and my husband, who works third shift. And so I have these burritos. Oh, somebody is joining me. Hello, hello. And if you would like to open your video, that would be great. If you just want to be listening, that is also great. And so far, you're the only person here. And so I was just doing a little synopsis of the importance of scheduling your day and your time and your week so that you're ready for your meals, that you have vegetables chopped up, that you have nuts and seeds soaked. Maybe you've made a salad dressing or some dips, like a black bean dip or something. And things like having those ready on those days that you know you're just going to be really busy and you want to avoid the fast food route, that's really going to be helpful. So I was just mentioning, for breakfast, I had some yogurt and some blackberries and raspberries and I had some soaked and sprouted pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds on there. And let's see, what is she telling me? Oh, interesting. Can you open your mic and tell me what you had to do? See. Oh, check if there's I took it right from, okay, thank you for telling me this. Maybe, because I haven't gotten anything from anybody else, but I will send this out again. So I'm going to just stop the recording for a moment. And okay, so One thing I thought about as this process was happening is Mercury is in retrograde, right? So this is where we learn to breathe and go, okay, what can we do? And that kind of speaks to what I was speaking about as to what are our values, what's important to us. And food and the food choices we make fit in with that. How we schedule our time can also dictate how much time we have to make the foods that may or may not be most appropriate for us, that help us to feel good, that give us the energy to do the things that we want to do. So it's this wonderful dance and rhythm. I think that's why they call it the circadian rhythm, because there's that rhythm. And so the more we slow down and pay attention, the more we can hear kind of the drum beats that come and say, this is what you should eat, this is what you should do, that type of thing. Preparation has a lot to do with it. And so that's why I was saying, if you look at your calendar, know what kind of foods that you need to prepare to be ready for the coming week, and what's best for your body. Some people do better with, I'm a high veggie person. Some people are more a high protein or high fat person, and they actually do better with more animal foods. I do not do well with a lot of animal foods. So that's what we have to figure out. What is it that we need? And then we look at our schedule, we look at our budgets and say, okay, what can I do? What can I make? And how can I make it as easy as possible for me? Sometimes we're like, I've got to make everything from scratch and I have to do, all of this. If you can, yeah, make your yogurts, make your dips, make your dressings, make your flax wraps or whatever wraps you can. And then see what resources you have around you, because this is your real life and this is your real body. So, and so as I was saying, like today I had my yogurt with raspberries and blackberries and my soaked and sprouted pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and a little cinnamon. And then for lunch, I had made a pot of vegetable soup earlier in the week, so I heated some of that up. I had some gluten-free bread that I had made and was at the tail end, and then I had a black bean dip. So I just toasted that, put that on there with some slices of tomatoes and avocados and lettuce and stuff like that. There was lunch. It did not take very long. And then for supper tonight, we're neither my husband nor my son have to work. So they requested burritos. This is the other part of the equation. My family is not actually completely on board with some of the things that I eat, and we all may have that. It's like, okay, again, how can I do this so there's the most flow, the least amount of stress? And so I found these cauliflower tortillas, and then I also have these garden wraps. And they do have some whole grains, but they're sprouted. And through my testing, I do okay with these grains, like quinoa, millet, oat groats, things like that. And then it has some things in there that are okay. Sometimes I find, again, where I live, I just have to make concessions or just not have it. But again, because through testing, there are some things I can have, some things my husband can or cannot have. So I've got a couple of choices here. Lots of times I just make my own hemp or flax or whatever type of wraps. Sometimes if I'm juicing, I'll take the juice pulp and mix that with kind of a chia flax gel, and then just dehydrate that. So that's just kind of some ideas. So then I just warm this up on a dry cast iron skillet I have, just so it gets warm. They're, you don't want it too long. You don't want to warm them up too long, because then they become toasty, crispy, and a little more inflexible, but just enough to warm them up. And then that allows everything else to spread much more easily, like refried beans. So I make my own refried beans, and I also keep some on hand in a can for those times when I don't have lots of time. Refried beans are really easy to make. You take whatever kind of bean that does well with your body. Everybody seems to use pinto beans, but you can use black beans. I've done them with the dookie beans. It's the whole idea is you're just making a bean mash, and then you mix it with some fat, whether that be butter or whatever. And I've used coconut oil in there as well. And you just sit there and you mash up these cooked beans in your pan till they're just this mash. You can also chop up onions and garlic. You can put in different spices like cumin. We tend to think of refried beans as just a Hispanic or Mexican Latina type dish. And this is not necessarily true. Again, it's just mashed beans. So if you want to have more of a Mediterranean feel to it, you can put, again, the garlic and the onions, but then put in maybe some masala type of a spice or whatever. And so then you can put that on, and you can make kind of a, oh gosh, it's with the pita bread. Anyway, so you can make that with it, and kind of like a hummus, but we don't have them much around where I live because we don't have a lot of Middle Eastern people. What is that called? You can use tahini because that's sesame seeds, but it's the sandwich. You go and you buy these sandwiches with the pita, and they have the hummus and the feta and cucumbers and tomatoes. Now it's gonna bug me until I get it. Let's see here. Maybe you're with me. It's like, what is that? I can't. Oh, well. Nope, not that. Not shawarma. I didn't even say that right. I'm sorry. Nope. Although I love falafels. And nobody says it right. That's the part that gets me. At least I don't think they're saying it correctly around here. Oh, well, all right, I'm not going to spend any more time. If I find it later, I will, I'll post it in with the email that I'll send out with this. I just can't believe I can't think of it. Yeah, it's just not coming to me. And for some reason, I think there's a G in the word. All right, we'll put that aside, and then our brain will come up with it, right? And so with this, and you could put falafels and tahini and the hummus with it, you know, like a baba ganoush or something like that. Anyway, gyros, see? I knew if I just stopped it, the brain. Yeah. That, it's that kind of a thing. I'm Armenian, so we grew up with this thing called lahmacun, and it's where we take a kind of a pita type bread, and we'll put on, we wrap it up like in a lettuce, tomato, cucumber type thing, parsley, oil vinegar dressing, that type of thing. And so again, everything is made ahead of time, and then all you have to do is toss it together. So the other thing too, so my boys, my kids that are home like to put cheese on their burritos. So there's a couple things you can do. You can buy a block of cheese, which is much less expensive, and just take it and run it all through your food processor or grater or whatever you have, and then you just have that all ready. You can buy them ahead of time. You can choose. So I live along the Minnesota-Iowa border, and so we have friends that raise Guernseys and Holsteins and whatever, and so we get that raw milk, and sometimes I get goat milk, and so we'll make our own cheese, and it's got more of those probiotic enzymes in there. And so, if you have time to do that, that's something I do maybe once a year, because it's a process. And so I also will make just my own nut cheeses and whatever. They don't shred or melt quite as nicely, but since dairy is sometimes problematic for me, I will spend a little and buy something. Again, they don't always have the greatest ingredients. Like this has, potato starch, but it was the best of all their, at my local store, of all of theirs. And I want to encourage them to keep using things like this, because it's just like this little niche there. And I thought, well, the more we do. And so again, you get to choose. Do I even want cheese in there? Maybe if I like that fatty flavor, I'll just put in an avocado, and that will work. I like to put in pico de gallo. So that again is just chopped up onions and tomatoes and cilantro and stuff like that. I actually am careful with tomatoes because my most recent stool test said that, and there is research to back this up. A lot of the tomatoes out there, and it's been going on for a couple of years, have this virus. And when you eat that tomato, the virus goes in you. This isn't true for every single plant that might have a virus, but tomatoes and green peppers especially, this has been a problem, and so they can be inflammatory. So I'm kind of being careful with tomatoes and peppers. And actually garlic has kind of a boomerang effect on my immune system. So again, so if you have lupus or something, you actually may want to avoid garlic, because it has the opposite effect of everything that we're taught about garlic. And in Ayurvedic tradition, it's not sattvic, it's too spicy, so it riles things up. So, it's what's best for you. The other thing that I have that I'm going to be putting in there are sweet potatoes. So I just, again, once or twice a week, I'll bake some sweet potatoes and just have them ready to chop or do whatever. I do okay with sweet potatoes, and some people don't, but if you cook them and let them cool, they have a little more of that resistant starch. White potatoes really have that resistant starch once they've been cooked and cooled. And so, so again, if you have those ready for you, then you can chop it in and put it in. And if it's been cooked and cooled, it won't affect your blood sugar quite nearly as much as if you just ate them cooked and not cooled. Again, that's, do you have an issue with it, right? Not everybody has a blood sugar issue, and not everybody who has a blood sugar issue responds to sweet potatoes that way. And this is what I mean. It's just a wonderful dance that you get to do as you discover it. And then maybe salsa. So I've made this in the past. Again, I have some on hand, but I have a black bean and corn salsa. There's other salsas out there. Again, you want to be careful with corn because most corns are GMO and have other chemicals. I'm surrounded by corn and soybean fields, so I'm really familiar with this commercial industry. So if you're going to use corn, I grow my own corn, and so I buy my seeds. They're from Seed Savers, so they're heirloom. And because for me, again, it's emotional having that an ear or two of corn in late summer. That's just kind of up there with watermelon. And so then I'll make this salsa with black beans and corn and all of that. But you can put, again, salsa is just kind of this template name that we think of for this vegetable concoction. If you've seen probably mango salsas, things like that, again, what works best for you? What can you put together? And a salsa is different from a pico de gallo, where pico de gallo is more, it's not so runny like a salsa. So with a salsa, you're going to put your veggies or whatever into a blender or food processor and just processes them real shortly so that they have a little more of the juice that's emitted. And so they are running. That's kind of what gives that burrito or that taco, that run down your arm experience with the juice. And then I put in cilantro. Again, cilantro, not everybody likes cilantro. I have members of my family who don't like it. They have what I call the soap gene. So it tastes like soap to them. But cilantro is really good for your digestion. It's part of why it's good to include with things that involve beans if you're not used to eating beans. If you're not used to eating beans, do maybe a tablespoon at a time so that you build up. There's things called trisaccharides, and if the digestive enzymes in your body are too weak, they're not strong or robust enough to break that down, that contributes to that gas. And so that's why you'll see people with cumin or fennel, cilantro, coriander seeds, things like that, because that's going to help you to digest your meal, whether it be with beans or maybe there's a lot of heavy meats or something in there. So that again is why you're going to be seeing cilantro in there. And then just because it has good fiber and good water and hydration, I will buy shredded iceberg lettuce. I just buy the bags that are already shredded. Lots of times I'll buy the iceberg lettuce and shred it up myself. And I know people are actually unkind to the head of iceberg lettuce, but again, they have a lot of crispiness to it. So a crunch that can be one of those textures that our senses will respond to. And then it has good fiber and it has good water. So it's good for hydration as well, especially if you're eating something that might be spicier than you might normally have, or maybe you normally have it, but it's just going to be good to cool down the heat that comes up from the burrito itself. You can put in there, again, if you do preparation ahead of time, you can cook up, if you've roasted a chicken and had it shredded, you can put that in there. If you've got ground beef, ground turkey, whatever you work well with, you can put that in there. So what, do you make burritos, or do you have burritos very often, DJ? You love them. What do you put in yours? At coconut wraps. I have used coconut wraps, but I find them too sweet when I want a more savory. So that's why I've been using more of the cauliflower ones. They are not as sweet. So if you can find them, Thrive Market or Vitacost has them. Yeah, I don't even see the coconut.
Here are some results from a search.
Oops. Guess my phone decided I needed help. But yeah, Amazon probably has them. Yeah, so blood sugar control, and actually not using coconut might be better for blood sugar, because they do tend to be a little sweeter. So the cauliflower ones might be better. And you can experiment with do you use a blood sugar meter? Not yet. Yeah, so I have, it's upstairs in my office, but I got it for like, it was under $20 at Walmart. Rely on, and it's really, and I hate needles, I'll just put that out there, but it's not hard to do. And so I always recommend people test right before they eat, and then like every 15-20 minutes after they eat, to see how far it goes up before it starts going down. Yeah, it is actually pretty accurate. Yeah, it is. I have used others, and I find this to actually be more accurate than others. You can try getting like a Dexcom or Libre if you are diabetic and your doctor will prescribe it for you. But otherwise, this is probably the best one out there as far as accuracy, and also a good price. There are some other ones out there that might be maybe a titch more accurate, but they're also like 3 times as much. Rely on, RELION. Let me see if I can get you a link. Yeah, RELI capital ON. And the kind that I got, I believe it's called a complete. And then it comes with this little with the holder with the lancet. Yeah, it's actually all one word though. And as far as I know, you can only buy it at Walmart, or you can buy it online. And they have different kinds. Mine has just a little stick where you put the strip, so you poke your finger And then you take that blood droplet and you've got your strip that you put in the meter itself, and you put that in your drop of blood and you watch. And mine has been pretty darn accurate. There's actually days I wake up first thing in the morning and test it just to see, because sometimes you wake up and you're just already hyperactive and your blood sugar is like over 100. And so that's when I know I need to calm down and just make sure I drink my water or my tea. And there have been days when I've done nothing but fasted, like on water or tea or something, because it just would not go down. So it's just a really great way to see where your body's at. To me, that's the biggest purpose for having it. And I think everybody should have one, whether they have blood sugar problems or not, because it can tell you what your stress levels are. Most of us wake up going, what's today gonna be like? And we're just so ruled by, well, I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that. And what you're supposed to do is what's best for you. So I've been drinking this butterfly blue pea flower tea, and that's really been good for me. I'm actually doing that instead of doing the lemon water. I might put some lemon in there, but that's really been more helpful. And that's what's fun about some of this, is experimenting with butterfly blue pea tea, blue pea PEA flower tea. I'll take that in here. Yep, blue pea tea. Yep, exactly. I actually buy it off of Etsy. I buy a lot of stuff off of Etsy. It's because I like to support small people, their small businesses, rather than like Amazon and that ilk. I usually just buy books off of Amazon anymore. Oh yeah, Etsy. I just bought 3 pounds of Jerusalem artichokes. Some of them I slice and roast, and some of them I just plant to grow. And there's just some amazing things on Etsy. Yeah, I highly promote and encourage people to go to Etsy. Yeah. Yeah, will do. So does that make sense with finding out about your blood sugars and using a meter? Yeah, okay. And so again, experimenting. A burrito is just it's a template for whatever you want to use for your bread choice, your wrap choice, what you put in it. It's nice to have some type of fat or protein source in there. So that's where the beans and the refried beans come in. You don't have to use refried beans. You can just put in pinto beans. Pinto beans are a superfood for me. I use Viome for my stool tests, and they give you a report based on the RNA in your stool that says your body responds best to these foods. So they become your superfoods. And then that's when they say, these foods are ones that you should avoid. So anyway, pinto beans are a superfood for me. So I've been eating more. Yeah, it is very cool. And it also had shown me that I had some metabolic syndrome issues before, which I kind of knew, especially from family history. And so I'm able to see the progress I've been making, especially with the cardiovascular issues, which is good because cardiovascular issues run fairly rampant in my family. So avoiding that will make me happy. And if you're ever interested in learning more about the Viome test, let me know and I will send you a link. And then I've talked about I like using Vitacost actually more than Thrive Market. again, I think it's partly because not most, so many people use Thrive Market. Yeah, I do too. I do too. And so about once a month, I'll go through, because the other thing to think about too are seasons. So at least where I live, where it's not terribly cold, right? Right now it's 84 degrees. So that's pretty darn warm for us. But as we move more into the cooler season, you'll get more of your pumpkins, squashes, gourds, things like that. And it's these fall foods. Also more in Chinese medicine, more the fermented foods. So you could put a kimchi in a burrito or a sauerkraut or anything like that. Those are the salty foods are more things you want at this time. So play with that idea of what to use in your burrito. Everything from the wrap, so you can get a cauliflower wrap. You can make your own if you juice, or you have some leftover veggies you want to just chop up real fine and mix with kind of a chia seed, flaxseed gel. And then you can, if you have a dehydrator, you can spread it out on that. And, if I've got one of those templates where it has the circles. So I like doing that, makes it easier. But otherwise, just spread it out in your dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can put it on like parchment paper or something on your baking sheet and just put it at the lowest temperature you can possibly get. Crack open your oven just a little bit. And then if you can, have like a little fan or something just to keep the air circulating, and start having, and you can do it that way. You have to pay more attention so they don't burn, but so you can make your own wraps that way. And what kind of fillings? Be creative, have some fun with it. You play with your food. Your mother says play with your food. Do you have any questions, BJ? From food poisoning? Okay, definitely. First of all, ginger is really, really helpful for that, because that will help with the stomach acid that you need to break up any of the toxins that you want to eliminate. Activated charcoal can be really helpful for that. And then just start seeding it. You want to be gentle with what you do. So again, the fermented foods, maybe just a little bit. Miso soup is really, really good. Maybe some kanji. I don't know if you know what kanji is. Kanji is like a, almost like CONGEE. And I was with my mom this summer. She'd had surgery, and then they found out her endometrial cancer had returned. So I made her a big batch of kanji, and I told her that kanji is like the Asian chicken soup. That's what they give their kids or whoever when they're sick or the flu. They give them kanji, and it's made with rice. You can use white rice, brown rice, basmati rice, jasmine rice, but the idea is you use just like maybe a handful of rice and like 5 to 8 times as much water. And you cook that. It's really great in the crock pot, or if you have an instant pot. But you cook it for a long period of time. So the rice is just almost mushy. You can put in there then your ginger, you could put some fennel in there, cumin, just different things like that. So that can be just really nice and gentle on your system. And then after you've made it, when it's cooled down a little bit, you can again put in some miso. They make different types of miso. I like the chickpea miso. It's from South River. Gotta get a bit of a drink here. That's where I usually get them. And it's because everything there is like personally made. So if you have a chance to get your miso from South River out in Massachusetts, I highly suggest it. So then, because it is fermented, you do not want to put it in anything extremely hot. So just take a little bit of the liquid from your soup or whatever you've made, and then mix it in and eat that. Again, that can help repopulate that. But for sure, the ginger tea. So how do you know it messed up your microbiome? What are the signs showing up in your body? Distress. So does that show up as loose stools, nausea? Do you have a fever? Okay, so you took antibiotics. So chances are you ended up with a little bit of leaky gut. So what I would first do, if you know what a transit time test is, you want to see how long it takes for you to eat food and it to come through. So taking like a steamed beet and grating and eating that, you can grate it and then watch for that. If it comes through, so 18 to 24 hours is the preferred transit time. And so you want to see how quickly or how slowly you start to see that beat. It's probably 24 hours. Okay. I would still do it and track it just to make sure, and watch what your bowel movements, what your stools look like, you know, on the Bristol stool chart, you know, their color, their texture, the smell. Those two things are really important. And then from there, so they're pasty. And what is the color? So they're a little softer, it sounds like. So it's a normal brownish color. So are they too soft, do you feel? Yeah. So the congee is going to be really good for that. That's going to be really good for that. I'm just thinking in my head. So getting your stools firmed up a little bit more and making sure they're regular And again, checking on the transit time is going to be really helpful. And then there's one or two ways you can do it. You could either do a elimination diet just to see which foods, again, track it when you eat, which foods you respond well to. Or you can do the biome test. And then you will probably want to do a leaky gut protocol so that you can heal that. Because if you do anything else, and you've got this leaky gut, you've got holes, basically, it's like an open mesh cheesecloth. And if there's any bacteria or viruses or anything, they can get out, especially if you loosen them up. So you want to heal it, correct that mucous membrane, and seal it so that everything stays contained. But in order to do that, you need to make sure you're having fairly good and regular bowel movements, and what foods won't be like poking the bear each time. You want to eat foods that are good for you. Again, the rice congee, I think, could be really helpful for you with all of that. All right, so does that make sense? Okay. And if you ever want to just have that 30-minute free consultation, it's usually on the bottom, like on Monday's email, it was on the bottom of that. Just go ahead and schedule that, and we can talk a little bit more about that, and if there's anything else we can do. And that goes for anybody that's watching this replay. Anyway, I'm going to plan on doing next month's call a little earlier, obviously not this weekend, but next weekend, because we'll be going through some season changes, but also I may be traveling down to the Salt Lake area because my son and his wife are doing a baby blessing, and I would like to be there. And so that way I can get this to you, and you guys can have ideas for food for the month of October. And it's interesting that you're talking about your blood sugar, because my theme for the month of October is on sugar cravings. Because what do we have at the end of October, which stores are already preparing for? Halloween, all right? It's the gateway drug. And so I want to start preparing people for this holiday season coming up. So we're going to be addressing the topic of sugar cravings. So keep an eye open for that. And if you have any questions or anything, I don't know if you are on the Facebook group, the Sage Wisdom Facebook group, but you can also join us there and ask questions that way if you're on Facebook at all. So, all right. Thank you again so much for letting me know about what was going on with that link. I have no idea why that happened. Sage Wisdom, Sage, S-A-G-E, Wisdom. Yep. Let's see, what's it called here? Sage Wisdom, Nurturing Using the Elements from Nature. I can actually probably just give you the link here. There we go. So, all right. Do you have any other questions I can help you with? Okay. The other thing too is if you've, and blessings to you too, many, many. If you go to my Feeding Your Health website, I have a blog, And I've got lots of articles already on there that have to do with sugar. There's actually some in there that have to do with distress, bloating, etc. So I will put that here so you can, if that will help you. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so glad that I actually got to meet you, and stay tuned for next month. Yeah. All right. Where are you from? Oh, New Jersey. Okay, cool. All right. Well, stay safe and cool if it's too hot out there for you. And let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. All right. Take care. Bye.